Okay, this is HomeReport. This is actually a copy of what you'll be leaving with. I have yours in my bag in the front hall. I'll be filling that one out at the end of the inspection, so I'll use this one to explain it to you. Inside the front cover, you'll find a few of my cards. The phone numbers are monitored from 8 in the morning until 10 at night, 7 days a week. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call. There's no such thing as silly or embarrassing questions, so don't worry about that. Questions can be tomorrow or 6 months from now. Again, it doesn't matter. The Dear Client letter explains the phone times. We ask also if you'd go by the website. We've got a How Do We Rate questionnaire for client feedback. If you have any suggestions relating to the service, we're certainly all ears. The more feedback we get from our clients, the better we understand what you do and don't appreciate in the service. Now, inside, we've got the table of contents. Just lays the book out for you section by section. It gives you the lay of the land with the book. In the introduction area, we open with the contract, which doubles as your receipt. It describes the house that we're looking at today. What we ask is if you can fill in your current mailing address in this area. With the contract, have a read through, and then if you could initial here, sign here, and date here, please. The contract will send you over to this page, what you should expect from your inspection. Have a read through this page. It explains in straightforward terms what we're doing. It's a visual inspection done to the standards. It's not exhaustive, as I was saying earlier. We're not drilling holes in the walls or moving furniture around, and then just section by section right through. In the receipt area, this is your total including GST. If you're doing that by check, if you could just make it to CanSpec, or as you see it over there in white, would be fine. Does that make sense so far?
That's good.
Yep.
Okay. The big picture is a summary page. It's where we bring to your attention significant items relating to each section of the house. We're rating everything on a 1 to 10 scale, where 1, 2 would be poor, 5, 6 would be typical, and 9, 10 would be excellent. Most of the numbers will actually be in the 5, 6 range. Don't be offended by that. It's not like the house is getting 5 or 6 out of 10. What I'm looking for as an inspector is what's typical for a house of this age, neighborhood, construction style, and what's above or below those expectations. Then down here, an overall rating and highlight notes. So this page is a quick overview on the house. Now for the details, we go to each section: roofing, exterior, structure, and so on. Each section has its own report page. The top portion of each page describes what's here in terms of materials. We also have a box for restrictions, so I can advise you of things that may have interfered with the inspection. For example, in the wintertime when the roofs are covered in snow, there's really not a lot I can tell you about the area under snow on a roof. So I would advise you that the roof is, whatever, say 95% snow covered. Also advise review roofing when clear of snow. It's our way of telling you what we can and can't get to and why. Now the findings are presented from here down. These 4 columns tell us when to do something, where it is, a recommended course of action. In this column, where I feel I can give you something reasonably accurate, I'll offer you dollar figures. And if I don't feel I can give you accuracy, I'll offer you dollar codes. The codes employed in these 4 columns are explained over here: when, where, action, and cost. These codes are listed alphabetically, so you can find things quickly. And the code set is found on the back of every tab, so no matter what page of the report you're looking at, they're always readily available for you. Okay? Now, each report page could be thought of as a map for all of the text that follows, in the sense that every term on the report page has been explained or defined for you in the text. Let's grab an example here. 3.1, ridge hip, caulking, cracked, damaged, granules, and so on. On the report page, 3.1, ridge hip, caulking, cracked, damaged, granules, and so on. What I'll be doing is circling terms that I feel apply to the house today. Now what we ask is for anything that we've brought to your attention, especially if you're not clear on it, to please go in and have a quick read on the item. And the reason for that is a home inspection is an information service. If you're thinking about the inspection tomorrow or the day after and thinking, you know, I'm not really sure what he meant when he said A, B, or C, then something didn't work. And that's why the book is designed this way, to try to keep everybody on the same page. So far, so good? Okay, and then that just goes section by section. Behind each one of these report pages, you'll find a system drawing. It just gives you typical layouts on a house, so you have a little better understanding of generally where things are located, how they get put together, and so on. For instance, if I tell an average client that there's a damaged fascia on the house, fascia is one of those terms that usually draws a blank stare. Most people just don't know what it is. So fascia, right there on the drawing, it's a vertical edge of the roof line. Soffit is the underside of the overhang, and so on. So the drawing can really be worth 1,000 words some days in terms of locating stuff. And then that just goes section by section right through the book. So up to this point in the book is the report on the house. Now it's one thing to purchase a house, but to live in them successfully over time, they have to be maintained. So the reality is we have to do that. So the maintenance section starts with, let's get started. These are things that we think you should check as soon as you take possession of the house. Which reminds me, when do you expect to take possession on the house?
In about 60 days.
About 60 days, okay. Just so you're aware, smoke detectors are not tested during an inspection. And the reason for that is most people are about 60 days away from taking possession on a house. And on that basis, if we test them today, if there's a battery in them, the battery could die next week. So we don't want you moving in 60 days from now, assuming the smoke detectors are working, just because we played with them today. So as a reminder, safety first, check smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, just to confirm when you arrive. Now, following that, we've got the maintenance schedule. It's 2 pages, gives you frequencies of review, so you know how often things on a house should ideally be getting checked. Roofing, for instance, should be checked twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. Now, of course, it's easy for me to tell a person, okay, great, go check this or that. However, if you have no idea what to look for, that advice isn't very useful to you. That's where the read column comes in. 1.0, roofing, and so on down the line. If you go 2 pages further, you'll find checking it out. 1.0 roofing, and so on. In this section, we explain the basics to help people get up to speed in that department. I'll come back to that in just a sec. So the maintenance schedule lets you know how often to do things on the house. Now, following that is the maintenance record. It's the exact same list as you had on the schedule. This allows you to track the dates when things have been done. So you kind of build a history or a logbook on your house. Now, checking it out, regardless of whether you're doing all the maintenance on the house yourselves or have specialists come in to help out, it's a good idea to read through this. Once you do yourselves, maybe pick up a few tips and learn a few things. What others do for you, you're more educated about those things. The last thing you need is a specialist who comes in to look at something for you, and they come back and tell you something that sounds like the thingamajig just doesn't quite mesh with the whatchamacallit. Because if it sounds like that, you're at a bit of a disadvantage. Further to that, if you say, can you fix it? You'll probably hear yes, followed shortly by cha-ching, and you find yourself on the wrong side of that too often. So it helps level the playing field to some degree. We do ask, though, please understand your own capabilities in the sense that if you're not comfortable on the roof of a house or doing electrical on a house, obviously have people come in to take care of that for you. And then just section by section right through. If you need to hire a contractor, we offer you a starting point, how to find your contractor, key questions to ask. Probably the biggest mistake that most people make with a contractor is to assume. If you assume something, that's often the same thing as scheduling an argument. You might ask a painter to come in and say, listen, I'd like a soft yellow out in the hall. That's not precise enough. You have to say, I need a Benjamin Moore code 4130. Otherwise, you come in and the painter's halfway through and you're going, what's this? And he goes, soft yellow, and you go, no, that's mustard or whatever, and it goes downhill in quite a hurry from there. So just to avoid being there in the first place. Okay. All right. Now, the budgeting section offers you industry average prices for significant items, as well as average lifespans where appropriate. These are industry average prices. You could certainly get quotes higher and lower than these numbers. So we give you a column for your quote. You can log yours, compare to industry average, see how you're doing. And that just goes section by section right through. This is very handy when the fella tells you that the thingamajig is going to cost $680 and you're sitting here looking at $200 and going, something doesn't sound right here. Right. It helps level the playing field. I should advise you, though, the information was compiled within the last year. It should be reasonably accurate for a few years. I wouldn't take the book out in 8 years' time and go. Yeah. Obviously, it's going to loosen up. A page for notes for anything you need to keep track of. The final section of the book is record keeping, just so you can keep track of expenses. Suggested subjects like mortgage, tax, heating, etc. Over here, you can choose your subject. Say heating. You can log the monthly gas bills, yearly totals. You can do that year after year. These are envelopes. All the bills and the receipts can be kept in one place. Any notes you need to make, the company you're dealing with, phone number, contact, his or her extension number. It doesn't hurt to have competitors' information in case company A just doesn't come through for you. There's 6 envelopes here, so you can track up to 6 different subjects, and the chart gives you up to 10 years worth of tracking. If you take full advantage of this last section, you've got a great opportunity to keep track of all of your expenses. And also, say you decide to move on at some point. I'll come along to buy the house and say, I love the place, but what's the heating like here? There you go, Tim. Bills are in there. Knock yourself out. So, after all that talking, that's the book. Does that make sense?
That was very thorough.
It's an excellent book.
Way more than I expected.
Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to go and do the inspection. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a bit of homework, I guess, for lack of a better word. If you can do the honors on this, I'll get started.
HomeReport can be presented to your clients however you choose. This presentation was meant to demonstrate one inspector's approach. A shorter presentation is certainly possible and may better suit your own needs. You may decide to incorporate some, but not all of the elements you've seen here into your own presentation of HomeReport. We hope this video on HomeReport has shown you what a powerful tool HomeReport can be. HomeReport will benefit both you and your clients. It can help improve your professional image and help grow your business all at an affordable cost. We don't claim to have written an encyclopedia. We do claim to have the most detailed and comprehensive book available that speaks to the clients in a way that they can understand and appreciate. We know which book works best for us and our clients. Now it's your turn to use HomeReport and see for yourself. HomeReport, simply a better choice. Simply better value.